All right, lots happening here in overseas, as you can see. Joining me now, Sky News political contributor Chris Uhlmann. Chris, we'll start with the big global news of today. Australia joining, of course, Canada, the UK and others to formally recognise Palestinian. This has caused a lot of angst with top Republicans, warning Anthony Albanese that recognising Palestine risks punitive measures against Australia. I'm sure you heard my views at the top of the show. This only rewards the terrorists. I know we knew this was coming, but I am just very, very sad to see this day today.
Yeah, well, Anthony Albanese, Peter, talked about sending a signal. Let's not forget that the primary signal that's being sent by the Prime Ministers of Canada, the United Kingdom and Australia is to a domestic political audience, and a very particular one, in fact, their political parties. There'd be a revolution inside the Labor Party's caucus in Australia and certainly in the United Kingdom if they had not gone down this path. So that's why the signal's being sent. It's a political gesture. It will shift nothing on the ground. But what it is being seen as by Hamas is a political victory, and that tells you something that you need to know about the kind of people that we are dealing with, and that is they were prepared to forfeit the lives of everyone in Gaza to achieve the end of discrediting the state of Israel. And on that front, they have been very successful. So this is what victory looks like to Hamas. I would say this, though. Benjamin Netanyahu needed to take this into account in his response in Gaza. We need to know what victory looks like to Benjamin Netanyahu and when he will make an end to the war in Gaza and hopefully begin to build some bridges to the rest of the world.
Let's have a look at this grab from the Prime Minister today about his prohibition, his precondition, he says, in the recognition of Palestine, that Hamas can take no future role in Gaza or a Palestinian state. Have a listen.
Now, well, they're all determined. Those further steps are determined on the moves going forward, including the commitments that have been given by the Palestinian Authority that Hamas play no role.
OK, so he bumbles his way through it today, but how does he stop Hamas having a role? The people voted for Hamas last time. Even if the entity is not called Hamas on the ballot paper, it'll have the same Islamist sentiment. This is generational hatred being bred in the West Bank and in Gaza. You know that. I've been to the West Bank. I know exactly what it's like. I went to meet officials in the West Bank, I might add, Palestinian officials, and I had to walk past this huge monument bearing the names of people that had blown themselves up in the name of Islam, and they were commemorated and the families were given pensions. Now, how on earth is Albanese going to be able to stop them taking control now they've got this UN commitment, this global commitment to a Palestinian state?
Well, as you say, Peter, the last time that there was an election there, what we saw was Hamas won. It beat the Palestinian Authority, so that the Australian government and the British government, the Canadian government and 140 other governments can say that they want to deal with the Palestinian Authority, but if it's not delivered to them in the shape of an election by the people of Palestine, then they're not going to get it. So the thing begins to fall apart as soon as you begin to question what might happen in that part of the world. Look, the whole of the Middle East is a never-ending tragedy to me. I am a lifelong supporter of the State of Israel. I will remain committed to the State of Israel. But I do think that one of the things that we need to see now from Israel is where do we go to from here? How do we end this war? How do we begin to try and rebuild some of the bridges that have been burned?
Well, we release the hostages, Chris. I mean, that has to be a precondition, and that has been walked away from.
Well, there's no intention, as you know, Peter. They've said it. They're never going to release those hostages. That was the only bargaining chip that they had. So they will die along with a whole lot more Gazans because of this. And Hamas gets precisely the kind of world that it wants. But if the Australian government believes that it can influence that world in any way, shape or form, then it's not been watching the way that the world actually works.